Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're getting into the Nintendo Wii U. A really interesting console, had some genuinely innovative ideas.
Oh, absolutely. That tablet controller was something else.
Right. But it just didn't quite, hit the mark like the original Wii did.
hmm
So what went wrong?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question. And to help us figure that out, we're digging into this really insightful article from Cognitive Market Research. It just came out actually May 7th, 2025.
Oh, perfect timing then. What's it called?
It's titled Nintendo Wii U, How Overestimating the Appeal of a Unique Console Led to Disappointment. Pretty direct.
Okay, hits the nail on the head, sounds like.
Yeah.
So our mission here is to really understand why the Wii U struggled commercially, and maybe more importantly, what did Nintendo learn from it? Because there are some big lessons here, right?
Definitely. It's not just about games. It touches on market research pitfalls, consumer expectations, the whole complex process of launching a product.
And it's easy to forget now, but there was a lot of optimism at first, wasn't there? Coming off the Wii's huge success.
It's huge success. Yeah, the early signs, the initial research Nintendo did, it seemed pretty positive. So, yeah, where did it start to go off the rails?
Well, according to this article, a big part of it seems to be flawed market research right from the start.
Right. That's what the article really digs into first. It suggests Nintendo's research might have focused a bit too much on their existing Wii owners.
Ah, okay. So people who already love the Wii,
Exactly. They saw all that excitement for motion controls, the family games, and maybe it kind of assumed that same crowd would just jump onto the Wii U.
which, makes sense in theory, but
But it's a classic trap, isn't it? Focusing too narrowly on your current fans means you might miss what the broader market wants, or even people coming back to gaming. Big blind spots.
it's like asking dedicated coffee drinkers if they want another coffee machine without seeing if maybe tea is becoming popular again.
That's a great way to put it. And it seems that narrow view missed a lot of potential buyers. And then there was the name, Wii U.
Oh, yeah. The name. It really did sound like
Yeah.
just an add-on, didn't it? Not a whole new machine.
The article really hammers this point. That similarity to Wii caused, well, a lot of confusion. People genuinely thought, is this just a new controller, an upgrade,
Uh-huh.
not a completely separate next-generation console? And the marketing, it didn't really clear things up, did it?
No, the message wasn't sharp. It wasn't this clear, unified story saying, hey, this is new W. This is different.
Exactly. It feels like they sort of assumed people would just get it.
Yeah.
Which, rarely happens.
A dangerous assumption in tech.
Totally. And digging a bit deeper, the article mentions that Nintendo's own internal data might have underestimated how important other things were becoming to gamers back then.
Like what kinds of things were they missing?
Things like sheer graphical power, how good the games looked compared to rivals, and seamless online play, good online services.
Right. Online was getting much bigger.
Hugely important, and also strong support from other game companies' third-party support. These were areas where the Wii U wasn't really leading.
And maybe we should just quickly clarify third-party support. What does that mean in practical terms for someone buying a console?
Good question. Yeah, basically it means games made by companies other than Nintendo. So think about your big blockbuster series like Call of Duty back then or Assassin's Creed. Games lots of people buy consoles for.
Gotcha. So not just Mario and Zelda, but all the other big names too.
Exactly. Having lots of those games makes a console way more attractive to a wider audience. If you only have the first-party stuff, you're missing out on a big chunk of potential players.
So putting it together, despite maybe getting good feedback from their loyal Wii fans, the Wii U launched without a clear identity for everyone else. And it was missing some key features people were starting to really care about.
That seems to be the picture the article paints. Yeah. The optimism based on that early research just didn't match the market reality. Which kind of leads us into the next big piece, how gamers' expectations had actually changed quite a bit.
Right, because 2012 wasn't 2006 when the Wii came out. The gaming landscape was different. What were people expecting then that the Wii U maybe didn't deliver?
Well, the market had definitely grown up a bit. Gamers, especially those playing on competitor consoles, were expecting, a steady flow of big, high-quality games, not just one or two launch titles.
And robust online experiences too, right?
Absolutely. Smooth online multiplayer, easy ways to connect with friends, digital stores that worked well. It was becoming standard.
And the Wii U's launch lineup, I remember it being seen as a bit thin.
Underwhelming is probably fair, yeah. And then key Nintendo games, the ones people really wanted, got delayed. That hurts momentum right out of the gate. If there's nothing amazing to play right away, why buy the console?
Makes total sense. You need those system sellers early on. And what about the hardware itself? You mentioned graphical power earlier.
Yeah, the technical side. The Wii U, well, it just wasn't as powerful as the PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360, let alone the PS4 and Xbox One that were coming soon after.
So that made it harder for those third-party developers.
Exactly. It was a real problem. Making games for Wii U often meant extra work, or the games wouldn't look or run as well. So many big developers just skipped it. Or they released versions that felt kind of compromised.
And that creates a bit of a downward spiral, doesn't it? Fewer big games means fewer people buy the console.
Which means even fewer developers want to make games for it.
Yeah, a vicious cycle. It really limited the Wii U's appeal, especially for players who wanted those big multi-platform hits. Okay, so the games library was an issue. What about the online side? You mentioned it was becoming more important.
The article is pretty clear here. The Wii U's online system, things like the eShop, Milliverse, multiplayer,
Yeah.
it just felt a bit clunky compared to Xbox Live or the PlayStation Network.
Less polished.
Yeah, less polished, maybe less intuitive. The interface wasn't as smooth. Setting up online games could be more fiddly. It seems Nintendo's earlier research hadn't quite clocked just how critical a really slick, modern online experience had become for so many gamers.
Wow. It really sounds like a perfect storm of issues lining up against it.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, the article also stresses that Nintendo learned from this. This wasn't just a failure they ignored.
Oh, absolutely not. The article calls the Wii U's struggle a profound wake-up call, a really important moment for them.
So what was the main takeaway for Nintendo?
I think the biggest lesson was that innovation, like the tablet controller, which was innovative, isn't enough on its own. It has to connect with what people actually want and, crucially, fit into the current market trends. You can't just invent something cool and expect everyone to love it if it doesn't solve a problem or offer something they really value.
And that naming confusion must have been lesson number 1 in Branding 101.
You think so? Yeah, the Wii U name debacle really drove home how vital clear communication and, frankly, better testing of names and concepts with actual consumers before launches could have avoided so much initial confusion.
It also sounds like they learned that a cool gadget needs, well, stuff to do with it.
Exactly. That innovation needs a whole ecosystem supporting it. That means, yes, great first-party games, but also strong partnerships with other developers, those third parties again, and a really solid, modern digital infrastructure for online stuff, downloads, everything.
And this thinking, these lessons, they directly led to the Nintendo Switch.
Without a doubt. The article draws a very clear line. The Switch feels like a direct response to almost every major Wii U criticism.
How so?
Well, think about the core concept. The Switch is a hybrid play on your TV, or take it on the go, that immediately addressed a much wider range of how people actually play games, catering to different situations, different types of players, something they probably understood much better after the Wii U.
Right. It wasn't just tied to the living room like the Wii U essentially was, despite the tablet.
Exactly. And the third-party support on Switch.
Oh, it's night and day compared to the Wii U. Huge difference.
Massive difference. Nintendo clearly put a huge effort into rebuilding relationships with developers, making the Switch easier to develop for, and the result is this incredibly rich, diverse library of games you see today.
And they sorted out the online stuff too.
Yeah, they completely overhauled it. Nintendo Switch Online with cloud saves, a proper subscription service, regular updates. It's much closer to what people expect from a modern console's online platform. The article makes it clear these changes came directly from, understanding consumer demands better.
It also feels like they learned about the power of a killer launch game.
Oh, massively. That's a critical point the article raises. The Wii U, what was its big launch game, Nintendo Land? It was fun, but maybe not a buy a console for this kind of game for everyone.
Right. Whereas the Switch launched with
The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, an absolute system seller, generated huge excitement, rave reviews, and immediately showed off what the Switch could do. That's how you launch a console.
And they kept the momentum going, didn't they? It wasn't just Zelda.
No, exactly. They strategically released other massive titles like Super Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe relatively soon after launch. It kept people excited, kept the buzz going, gave everyone reasons to keep playing.
Smart. Very smart.
Really smart. And the article concludes that these strategic shifts, all born from the Wii U experience, were fundamental in rebuilding Nintendo's reputation and setting the stage for the Switch's incredible success.
It really shows how a company can turn a pretty big stumble into a huge leap forward. Speaking of the stumble, though, do we have a sense of just how much the Wii U underperformed.
We do. And here's a fast fact from the article that really puts it in perspective. The Wii U sold only about 13.5 million units globally. That's its entire lifetime sales before they stopped making it in 2017,
Only 13.5 million. Wow. Compared to the original Wii.
which sold over 100 million units. So yeah,
Yeah.
13.5 million makes the Wii U Nintendo's least successful home console by a really wide margin.
That really drives the point home. Okay, so just to wrap up our deep dive here,
Mhm.
the Wii U's story is really one of maybe misaligned market research, focusing too much inward.
Yeah, and not quite meeting those shifting gamer expectations around things like a steady stream of games, robust online features, and definitely that third-party support.
But the silver lining, the big takeaway, is how Nintendo took those hard lessons.
And applied them directly to create the Nintendo Switch, turning things around spectacularly. It's a powerful case study, really.
It absolutely is. Shows how even huge, innovative companies can misread the signs, but also how important it is to learn and adapt.
Precisely. It's about listening, truly understanding your audience, and making sure your innovation actually fits what they want and need.
Definitely. So here's a final thought for you, our listener. The Wii U's tablet controller was a novel idea, right? Thinking beyond just Nintendo, can you think of other innovations, maybe in tech or other areas, that seemed really promising on paper but just didn't catch on with people? And maybe reflecting on the Wii U's story, what might have been the reasons why? It's just a reminder, I suppose, that being innovative doesn't automatically mean you'll be successful.
A great question to ponder.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.